Hey guys, it's your best fight friends. I'm Kelsey. This is Rachel.
And today we're going to talk about Katie Taylor.
Why? Because we want to.
We love Katie, and apparently so does the whole world.
Well, yeah. I mean,
maybe
she's
not
pretty
Delfine Persoon.
Even Delfine,
but I think she might
even
love
Delfine
her.
loves Katie, and like both of them, I think are really happy to have competed in such great two fights against each other. What great fights that we saw them fight each other. Katie won both of them. She won the second one more convincingly than the first one. The first one, a lot of people thought Delfine maybe deserved the decision. Rachel and I happened to be at the first fight, Katie Taylor versus
Madison Square Garden.
Amazing experience. I thought sitting there that Katie edged that out, but it was a close fight. It really could have gone either way on the scorecards. But in the second fight, man, Katie looked brilliant for, I would say, 7 of the 10 rounds. Right?
Yeah, so whenever we see like Katie fight, she starts to fight and it's like, man, like she is
great.
Just like the whole package.
Yeah.
You know? She's got great like defensive head movement, like the way she makes people
footwork,
miss.
Her timing.
You talked about how she makes people miss
on the inside.
On the inside from in close range. So not like out here, but like inside. And yeah, footwork.
Beautiful.
She's also got power.
And she's doing it against Delfine Persoon, who was a really, really excellent fighter and a fighter who throws just a bazillion punches. So to be able to do that against that level of offense, amazing.
Yeah.
But why don't you do it the whole time, Katie?
Yeah. So one of my critiques has been, it seems like in the latter half of the fight that Katie doesn't have as much like energy. She doesn't have as, to keep like missing. We see her taking some more shots, looking almost, you talked like earlier when we were talking like Andy Lee-esque.
Yeah.
In that she's standing there trading with her opponent.
Well, that's what, when we were watching the fight
that's
live,
not how she wins fights.
I was like, is she too much like one of my favorite fighters, Andy Lee? Andy Lee was a great boxer. Andy Lee had a lot of heart, and Andy Lee we'd want to stand there and fight you. So we went and saw Andy Lee fight Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Yeah, and that's like the classic fight that if you want to refer to somebody who should have like continued boxing, but instead was like, all right, you want to brawl? I'll brawl with you.
You want to throw? And honestly, like I would, if I'm Andy Lee, I would think this guy can't stand up to my right hook. I get it.
Yeah, but
I get it, but
just don't do that with Chavez Jr.
Like a 200
that's
pounder.
What you just went into his. You
made the fight harder. And Andy had done the same thing with Brian Vera in that first fight, right? So what I'm saying is, it's because Andy wants to fight. I see that in Katie Taylor. I don't think it's so much that Katie gets gassed or anything like that. I think Katie wants to fight, and Katie gets dragged into that a little too much. And I was talking to Rachel about while it's probably not best if you're thinking you want to minimize a risk in your career, if that's your highest order good, that's probably not the best strategy. But at the same time, people love Andy Lee and other fighters, Arturo Gatti, other fighters that Manny Pacquiao, other fighters that stand and want to fight. Aaron Morales, Juan Marquez. All these great champions that had something special inside of them. I think of Evander Holyfield, right? We love these fighters not because they minimize risk. We love them because of what they would do in those situations. And I see that in Katie Taylor too.
But we also love fighters that do, like they use skill for so if you love Floyd Mayweather, that's what you love about him. Floyd Mayweather's not going to get in there and stand in front of you and trade if he feels like there's any risk.
But people didn't love Floyd Mayweather until he had won so many fights in a row that you had to accept that he was great. People didn't. You've seen it with other. You have to win a lot of fights fighting that style before people love you. Whereas if you're a brawler and you get in there, I'm not saying they're brawlers, but if you get in there and like entertain, if you're entertaining and exciting, you have a lot more fans in boxing faster than you ever
I think Katie Taylor is beloved because of how skilled she is.
Well, Katie Taylor, I'm not saying she's beloved because of that. I'm just saying that.
Not to mention her personality. I mean, the big reason
she was
Katie's
beloved
is
as
like
an amateur.
her personality. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because of like who
she's
she
just
is
beloved.
as a person. Yeah.
But I'm saying, so honestly, in this situation, Katie would be beloved anyway. I'm saying, Katie, move your head a little more. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, you're making it hard on yourself. That being said,
I'm just so impressed with Katie when fights start. I want that.
You want to see it all. 10,
I want to see it
rounds.
like the whole entire fight. Now, one of our viewers, she brought up, she was like, you know, with these two fighters, as many punches as they're throwing for the whole fight, it's a lot to like ask of Katie for her to be as energetic as she is at the beginning of the fight, at the end of the fight.
No, it is a lot. They both fighters are they're gonna be tight, especially in the way that they fought the fight. They're gonna lose that steam. It happens in every boxing match.
Yeah. So it might be, and then I suggested that maybe my expectations are too high. Maybe I'm like, you know, I'm like, hey, Katie, why can't you be perfect?
Yeah,
Katie's like,
I don't think it, because Delfine Persoon also is going to get tired as well. I don't think Katie's fitness is the problem. I think Katie, like I said, I think Katie wants to fight a little more than maybe that would benefit her.
I think that it might be a little bit of the conditioning. So I still, there's her breathing in between rounds,
but both
and
of
the way that she
like
looks.
That. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, okay. I disagreed when you brought it up the first time.
Yeah.
And I disagree now.
Okay.
And our other best fight friend disagreed too. So 2-1, Rachel, you lose. I'm just kidding. It's not how it works. Yeah, I mean, you're welcome to have that opinion. I think that on it, like, yeah, it'd be great if Katie didn't get tired. I'm all about Katie figuring out how not to get tired. Now, Katie only has to fight 2-minute rounds.
Yeah, so like in my head, I'm like, I'm watching like, you know, Katie Taylor's fight, and then I've watched a lot more of men fighting in boxing, right? Like, so, you know, I'm like, well, do I see Manny Pacquiao like getting like? This is what the comparisons I'm making. So it's only like I love Katie so much, right? So like I
just wonder, like,
I'm pushing her to be the best she can be.
I feel like the 2-minute rounds encourage a super fast pace. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and it might be, so it might be an apples and oranges comparison.
Because you only have 2 minutes.
Men and women's boxing.
You know? And in 3-minute rounds, that extra minute means a lot. When you watch Floyd or somebody like that fight, it wasn't, I don't feel like it was the same. Now, some fights were, so I don't know. It is awesome to watch Katie Taylor and what she's doing in women's boxing. And women boxing in general is doing great things in the year 2020. You have Katie Taylor, you have Clarissa Shields, you have some really big stars in women's boxing. And not only are they really big stars, but they're really, really excellent and great fighters. And I think that that's awesome. Thanks for watching our show. I'm Kelsey, that's Rachel, and we're your best fight friends.